Hello, it's been a while, but I've been without a laptop, but now I have a new one, which means I can finally edit films again. Right, so first video of the year, I'll do a roundup of my year in books for 2014. What books did I get and what books did I read? I got lots and lots of books this year. Blimey. Quickly go through them. Load of Sherlock books, Kane, cookbook, 3 novels, ghosts, an episode in the life of a landscape painter, and the literary conference, Rob Roy, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, more Sherlock, Dubliners, Muriel in Winter, Max Havelaar, I think that's how it's pronounced, Max Havelaar, Candide and Other Work, 1984, Big Brother, Cool Kings and Mean Queens, Ivanhoe, Vine of Solitude, Look Who's Back, and finally some books about cartoons in history. But what have I actually read this year? First up was Sherlock. New Year's Day, I was introduced to the wonderful BBC production that is Sherlock. I fell in love with not only the acting, but the entire production was just sublime. I've never been into detective fiction before. I've always struggled to enjoy them. The tropes that the authors of detective fiction trot out, you know, red herrings, fake red herrings, clues that aren't clues but then are clues but then aren't clues. I've just always found that quite annoying. I haven't found it enjoyable, but I loved Sherlock, the TV programme, so I decided to give the books a go, and I absolutely love them. Love them. I love their short stories, so you don't get a chance to have all of those annoying traits. The story's set up, you get into the story, you want to know what's happened, you want to know what the thing is, and then Sherlock Holmes just comes along and solves it really quickly with utter brilliance. Having said that, I like Sherlock Holmes good because it's short stories. I really enjoyed The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is, you know, the longer Sherlock story. And ironically, that's probably my least favourite episode in the TV production. But yeah, I really enjoyed the long version. I enjoyed getting into depth of the story. I enjoyed the setting, the people, the characters, the development. Much love. Also reread T.S. Eliot's selected poems. Just lots and lots of depth and lots of deep meanings and deep thoughts and feelings in his poetry. As The Fault in the Stars film came out in 2014, I reread The Fault in the Stars. What can I say that hasn't already been said? A funny, devastatingly sad, emotional rollercoaster. Talking about emotional rollercoasters, I read Somme Mud in November, and it's about the First World War, so as you can expect, pretty sad, very sad, but also really interesting. Did I talk about this already? Have I talked about this already? Did my last video talk about this? I think it did. Penguin did an absolutely fantastic promotion during the World Cup. They were doing this promotion where you get a bit off the books from the countries in the World Cup, and the further they went through the competition, the greater the discount. Unfortunately, I only discovered this in the last 8, so I only to get Holland's entry, Max Havelaar, and the 3 novels from Argentina. This is a really great insight into the Dutch colonial times. It's a great insight into his historical period, where Holland had their own empire and how they ran things and what the situation was like in their colonies. It's really wordy, it's very wordy. It's quite famous for it, in fact, and so it is slow going but interesting, and I'm looking forward to finishing it this year. This book has been on my TBR list for so many years. and I finally brought my own copy and read 1984. It's a brilliant satirical book. It's really interesting as a book written in that time, and it still stands up today. It's very, very chilling and very interesting. Really good read. Look Who's Back. And this was a really good read. I heard a lot of good reviews about it. It basically follows Hitler has just woken up in the modern day world. His last memory was being in a bunker in 1945, and this really follows him getting used to modern day tolerant Germany in the mass media, internet driven world that we live in. And everybody thinks that he's an actor. He's this guy, this comedian, pretending to be Hitler. And when he starts to use YouTube and the other platforms we have today to do all his ranting speeches, they see him as a fantastic act. They sign it as a fantastic act. So this book is really looking at how that kind of situation can be in modern day Germany, and how people react to this Hitler-esque speeches and character. It had a lot of potential. I hoped it would go further. It was really good. It was really engaging. It was interesting. It was a bit funny. But it just limped to an end for me. I was just left with, I wanted more from it. I wanted more from it. But it was a good satirical book. It was an interesting read, and it's well worth it. Especially if you're into YouTube, it's quite interesting to see how YouTube is used in this book. Big Brother. I was a big fan of We Need to Talk About Kevin. It took me yonks to get into We Need to Talk About Kevin, but when I got into it, boy, I was hooked. Fascinating psychological novel. This one, again, I found it very hard to get into, and so far I haven't got into it, I'm afraid to say. But there's been so many other books that I've been buying that I've kind of read them over this one. So, as with We Need to Talk About Kevin, I'm going to carry on with it, and I hope that, like that book, I will really enjoy this book too. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The book didn't really grab me, I'm sorry to say. It was okay, it was very interesting, and it's really, really important that we know and we understand and we learn about the discrimination black people faced in America, and it's important that we learn all the other discrimination and prejudice that other people have faced in history. So hopefully it doesn't happen again and we can increase the tolerance in our society. So it is a really good, useful book to read. Maya has done a lot of great work in this case, but I've read other literature that just speaks to me more about the time period than this book did. There's some really gripping moments, and there's some really interesting moments, but it just didn't grab me as and interest me as much as some of the other literature about black people in America. Finally, we have the cartoon books. Ever since I studied history at school and we had to study cartoons as sources, I've just been really interested in it, and they're really quick reads because they are primarily big cartoons, but it's just really interesting. I'm a history nerd, I love history, so they just provide great insight into the past. And that's all my books of 2014. Hopefully I will read a lot more in 2015, and I've certainly got a lot of books to go through. See you next time.